Okay, so what do you do if you're a shy person and yet you still want to roleplay? Oh, and stick around to the end so you see what I mean about making mistakes. This is a pretty intense topic. I'm just going to basically start to address this one. I'm going to share some of my own experiences because I think everyone encounters this on some level or other, and we can all benefit from some thought about like how do you overcome those nervous feelings at a table. And I think I'm just gonna approach the subject because it's a big subject, and even though I have some expertise, I'm a hypnotherapist, I was trained as a, peak performance and personal development coach, so I kind of understand a little bit about the psychology and the tools that help people to overcome those kind of things. It's a big subject, and there's a lot to it. And it's nothing I can cover in these, 5 to 10 minute vlogs. However, I do want to share a couple of golden nuggets and maybe help someone get started moving towards role playing the way they would like to. And I want to say before I get into this, it was inspired by a friend of mine online through the Twitter D&D and RPG community, Sai Chai. She is a wonderful person. I've gotten to play a few games with her. I love her characters, which is interesting. She did ask that question of like, what do you do if you feel like you're shy but you still want to role play? And it's such a great question. There was some really good feedback and answers to that question in that Twitter thread, and it got me thinking. And of course, I mine Twitter frequently for great ideas to talk about here on the vlog, and this is no exception. Oh, by the way, I guess I should say, hey, I'm Gregory. This is 1 in 20 D&D. Welcome to the daily D&D and RPG vlog, where I talk about all kinds of gaming stuff. If you're interested in that, please do subscribe, and remember, if you want to know when the videos go live, hit the bell notification, and they will send you the alerts so you can stay tuned every day. Now, back to the program at hand, and let's talk about how do you overcome shyness, or what's the first steps to getting towards being a good role player and being shy? And I gotta say two things right out of the gate. First and foremost, the most important thing is to give yourself permission to be shy. Like, it's okay. It's okay to be a quiet person. Absolutely valid to be someone who is quiet and listens. Usually those are the people that have lots of insights because they're aware of what's happening. They might be some of the most attentive and best note takers, the best people at the table that kind of really know what's going on in the story. That's cool. I think we need that at every table. So give yourself permission to be quiet and be shy. That's okay. Number two, if you really want to move towards role playing, is you have to make sure you're at a table with people you trust. And that might take some time to develop. That might take time to connect with people and to find a group that you feel comfortable with. A lot of times the session 0 can really help kind of figure that out. And it's a great opportunity if you are a shy person, if you feel like you're a shy person, it's a great opportunity to own it, to let the others know, like, hey, I'm kind of shy, I might not say much, I'm sure I'll be having fun, and if I'm not, I'll let you know outside of the game, but like, I might not talk all the time, and I just need to let you all know that, and or something like that. Whatever feels right for you. Use your own words, of course, but like, that's okay. And honestly, it's okay if that's who you are. One of the best things to do when you start like wanting to reach into role playing is play someone who's close to the way you are. It's usually easier to do that. So you can play a thoughtful, introspective, perhaps even shy person in the game. And maybe that gives you a foundation to start trying new things. But at some point, if you want to do it, you're going to have to sort of push yourself a little bit into being a little uncomfortable and being okay with being a little comfortable. That's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way we as humans grow. We have to push ourselves into those kind of slightly uncomfortable or very uncomfortable places. Now, one thing that I want to suggest after this, of course, is you can start with a character that you're comfortable playing, but maybe going the opposite direction might be the real hard push that you need to get you out of your shell. And this is going to be something you're going to have to decide for yourself. Maybe your friends can help you decide that. If you're a shy person, playing a bard is probably terrifying to consider. However, it could be really, really amazing. What if you're playing a bard who secretly is tremendously afraid, like has like horrible stage fright, and think about what it will take to push that person to push themselves to perform in front of an audience. And then when you actually play the game, you're going to be doing that yourself. So there's going to be truth in that. And whoa, that is good role playing. Like when there's truth in what you bring to the table, I mean, that is like the best role playing. So that's something to consider. Someone who has a high charisma, like the face of the party, who is almost forced into being the talker in the party. If that's not how you normally feel, this could be a really interesting way to kind of like, get yourself into that role and maybe, break out of that shell. Here's the thing. Check this out. I'm going to share my own story in a moment, but first I want to give you an image to kind of keep in mind. When you think about a chicken, an egg, actually any creature that comes out of an egg, the reason they come out of that egg is because it becomes too painful to stay in the egg. It hurts. They're starving essentially. And so there's something called the ring past knot, all right? The ring past knot is where the boundaries of who you are, let's call it. And it's painful. It's uncomfortable to go beyond that. But if you don't, you're kind of going to wither up and die. And the moment you do, a whole new life opens for you. Think about that chicken. Once it cracks through that shell, which is an endeavor, it's a struggle. But once it cracks through that shell, the whole world is open to them now. Now they can spread their wings, literally. I'm not being figurative. They can literally spread their wings. Same thing is true for a butterfly. Caterpillar seals itself in a cocoon. And then when it gets so painful for the butterfly, because its wings are cramped in that tight cocoon, it has to break free so that it can open up its wings and be that beautiful butterfly that it is, right? I gotta tell you, the same thing is true for us, folks. If you can like shore yourself up and garner the strength and find a way, it could be in a very safe, friendly environment where the people around you are going to help you and encourage you. In fact, that's the best way, probably. Once you move across that line, once you move out of that ring, out of that shell, a whole new game is going to open up for you. It will be incredibly rewarding. And so, I mean, some of the basic first steps are, like I've just said, find a group you're comfortable with, find a character you're comfortable with, and here's another great trick. Well, always come back to breathing. Remember to breathe. If you find yourself like tight and you're like, I'm terrified, you're shaking, you gotta remember to breathe, okay? So that one's a good one. Another thing that will really help is write down ahead of time some things that you might want your character to say. So here's the story. I didn't actually write this down, but I was terrified when we faced a dragon already in the Dragons of Icespire Peak. This is our Wednesday night game. I've talked about it a lot. I love this game. It's an amazing role-playing group. But I gotta tell you, the stage fright I felt because there was something specific. There was a sort of a specific way I wanted to reveal something about my character, and there were some certain things I wanted her, I was playing a female, I wanted her to say and do, and I was shaking because I was so nervous. I had so much anxiety and so much stage fright in that moment. Here's what I had done before the game, like in the days leading up to the game. I had rehearsed in my mind. I had rehearsed like what I might say, what I would like to say, how I would like it to be perceived, what I thought would make the coolest, most interesting moment in a role-playing scenario. And then, when the situation happened, it wasn't exactly like I imagined, but it was pretty darn close. And because I had practiced it, it was easier to do in the moment, in spite of the fact that I was literally shaking. My whole body was vibrating. I was so nervous. And it was super rewarding. Like after that, like the feeling of relief and like pleasure afterwards was incredible. I will never forget that moment. That was one of those role-playing moments in a game. I've only ever fought dragons maybe 1 or 2 times in like 30 plus years of playing D&D, right? So there's only been at most 3 times where I've encountered a dragon with one of my characters. This one was memorable. I will never forget that. And we didn't even fight it or anything like that. In fact, it actually killed me. It knocked me unconscious, right? My character unconscious. But I'll never forget that. And it was terrifying to face that moment of vulnerability in role-playing, in being raw and being present in the moment. And so my encouragement to you is practice it ahead of time and maybe even write it down. It seems silly, it seems cliche, but it can really, really help. If you have a few things written down ahead of time, then you can just read it. And maybe the first couple times it comes out and it's weird and awkward and it's okay. That's okay. That's how we learn. We have to make mistakes in order to learn and grow. You have to. There's no other way. No one ever is going to do things perfectly the first time they do it. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, you might get it right the first time. You might get lucky the first time. Fine. There are people that do that. But you know what? They are the rarest of the rare. So for the rest of us, and I'm assuming you're probably kind of like me on some level, for the rest of us, we have to practice. We have to make mistakes. We have to do that. And that's the only way that I'm aware of to get to that level. And so be okay with making some mistakes. If these are your friends, they're going to be fine with it. And hopefully the people you're playing with are friends. And if not, make the group first, find the group first, build the friendship and the camaraderie first, and then start playing D&D or whatever other RPG you're playing. Because that'll make it a lot easier for you. So these are the things that I've always done. I've found groups that I trust. I've found a character that I felt a connection with, that I thought I could find truths in, because truths are always easier to convey. I practiced what I wanted to say, what I wanted to sound like, how I wanted to be perceived. And then I always remember to breathe and drink water. If I can do those things, then I know I can get through it and I can get to that next level. If you see me on a stream now and maybe you think like, hey, he's a pretty good role player. I was not like that. I have had terrible stage fright most of my life. It took a huge amount of time and effort. This is like several years of practicing and feeling awkward and being weird and talking strangely and just tripping over my own words and trying. And so, we can all do it, and we can all help each other do it. So if you have more questions, I would love to help you. Like if you have specific questions, I'm here. I would love to be able to help with that. By all means, send me a message, send me a tweet, comment, however you want to contact me. I'm here for y'all. Because This is a big topic, and this is just barely scratching the surface. But if you are a person who feels like you are a shy person, you can become a great role player. And there are many tools out there to help you. Hopefully this is one step in that direction. And I encourage you, and I support you, and I will root for you to keep making those baby steps to become a better role player. I'll see you on the vlog tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you at a table someday. Until then, keep rolling 20s. And remember, it's your game. Play your way. This kind of thought is inspired by my French Sai Chai. Oh gosh, I knew I was going to butcher that. Dang it. And I experienced it in the game on Wednesday nights when we were doing the Dragons of Icespire Pier. Oh my goodness, I cannot say this name right.